Hey guys, Coach Ben here, bigbenchas.com. Today, I wanted to talk about the reason why your butt pops up off the bench. I know, super annoying. You're going through training, you hit a great set, but then someone tells you your butt was off the bench. No good, red light. No one likes that, all right? How are we gonna prevent that from happening during your training? All right, I used to be big on the concept of changing your foot positioning. Okay, so widening out, tucking your feet back a little more if your feet back, all right, trying to get your knee below your hip. That's still important, but as we go on, I continue to learn and adapt as well, and I've found that a lot of times people aren't necessarily having trouble with their foot position, all right, their knees are below their hips, but their butt keeps popping up off the bench. What gives? Well, those people aren't applying their leg drive in the right direction. They're the people driving into the pad rather than off the pad, okay? Because you can have your feet almost anywhere, but if you're applying your leg drive in the right direction, you shouldn't have a problem keeping your butt on the bench, all right? That's huge, probably even more huge than your foot positioning, okay? So I've adapted my mindset big on this concept, guys. I want to share it with you here, all right? So let's take a look. Okay, so this is what I would normally see. Someone on the bench, right? Say my a little bit more, let's just pretend. But when I would go through the press, right, my butt would be popping up like that. You can see it kind of lift there, all right? But I would say tuck your feet back. Right? Our feet back a little bit. It drops our knee below our hip a little more. All right, so now when we go through that, I don't have as much of an issue there. All right, I can't really pop my butt up. All right, but the issue I've been finding is people still manage to lift their hips out in this position. All right, and I'm not the greatest example for it. I have relatively proportionally bench is a little tall, but I would still see they're driving into the pad. I'd still see this lift even with your feet out. Butt has daylight, all right? You're gonna get called on that. So the important concept is not to drive into the pad. All right, this would be me driving into the pad. Everything's lifted, my butt's barely grazing, all right? But I could potentially be called for a red light, butt off the bench. What you need to do and focus on instead, feet out flat right here, so you get out in a good position, all right? Knees should be below the hip. Position is going to help keep your butt down. No matter where you are, as long as you push back on the bench, your butt won't pop up. So let's say I position my leg drive back. All right? If I'm pushing like this, it doesn't really matter where I am. I could be out front. If I'm pushing like this, my butt is going to be on the bench. And it's still active. If you still took half the bench apart, I'd still have active hips. I'd still be able to do the same thing. All right, I'm just pushing back. All right, so really important concept, guys. It's not always your foot positioning that helps, but it's more or less, how you're applying your leg drive. And that concept is so important in terms of transferring force to the bar. Really big thing to look at in your training. Have someone put their arms behind you, push into their arms, all right? Have them leave space and make sure you're pushing your body into their arms. That's a quick check. If you're just pushing into the pad, you won't even touch their arms. Get your leg drive pushing off the bench. It'll help not only force transfer to the bar, but it'll keep your butt down if you're having that issue. All right? Coach Ben here. And you know where to find me. Right here.